son, Courtroom, who is going to be a witness in this matter. The state has been calling him a witness. He was originally on my first witness list, but I've since pared him down to some other witnesses. But I was told that by my client's mother that Courtroom has been watching the trial through the live stream here. And they have been talking, Courtroom's mother, about the case, what's been going on. One point they brought up as to why I didn't ask a particular question of a witness. So they are obviously paying very close attention to this. I no way of knowing if and other witnesses are watching it. I have to assume that they are. I've got no way of knowing one way or the other. They're watching it right now as I'm speaking. It's very concerning to me that witnesses are able to watch live testimony of other witnesses and the arguments that have been made in opening statements, the statements that are made in opening statements by both parties. That's something that I know you have not asked for sequestering the witnesses. It's something that I think we have been doing, though, just on our own. The witnesses have been openly lobbied and have been called in one by one. And they have been instructed, and it's also now again instructed witnesses not to speak to each other. Now again, I've gotten to knowing my witnesses perhaps are watching as well. I know it's all myself have told all parties not discussing their testimony with each other. This live streaming thing came up late last week, and I know I specifically told witnesses not to be watching the live stream. I think the common sense, but apparently it has not been. So, again, I do have great concerns that witnesses are able to observe, perhaps inform their testimony to what they have heard here. I think that is a great trouble, a great prejudice in Ms. Cochran. And something that I think that moving forward presents lots of problems as we go down the road. And yesterday's testimony was certainly nothing earth-shattering, nothing that I think will have much attention. But as we get deeper and deeper in this case, there may be things that come up where witnesses can observe that they can speak their testimony one way or another. Now, there are remedies, obviously, to make previous statements, but and I can answer a question on the previous statements, but it's something that is great concern. I certainly agree the public has a right to view open proceedings, something that I think is very important and to continue here. At least when we see the local media, the paper, or on television, we know what was said and what was put out for general consumption. A little quiet and a short snippet on TV news in the evening. We need to watch that. We know what's said, and if the final witness saw that, we can certainly say, well, that would be a problem, because we know what we saw. Live streaming, they're seeing everything. And we have no way of knowing what they are seeing and what is everything's going on. We don't know what they're watching and how impact that potentially could have on their testimony. At this point, I'm going to ask several things. First of all, I'm going to ask that Mr. Al be clear of this instance. I think that, again, I'm not blaming anyone in this courtroom for this. I'm not saying it's the prosecution's fault or the court's fault or my fault or anyone's fault. It's something that I think that in preparing here, I think it's the first time I ever dealt with a live streaming any kind of case. It's just something that we didn't think of. Yes, things like that happen. So I think necessity declares that to make sure that the well is not poisoned and that it's not going to have a fair trial, that this trial be declared this time around.
Thank you. Ms. Paul?
Your Honor, as the court is well aware, our country was founded on constitutional principles which include the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press. And I will certainly instruct my witnesses not to watch any media regarding this case and not to discuss their testimony with other people. I learned of this last night as well from the source, not from Mr. Schulte. So we have had a discussion. I do not believe that will occur again. I will be contacting all of my other witnesses with respect to this issue. I've told the witnesses that are waiting in the lobby. I do not have the objection to a sequestration order for the witnesses that are appearing in court. With respect to the lobby area, of course, you know what, we can tell people all we want not to do something, and we don't have very much control over what they're doing in their own home. phones, just as we do not with the jurors, and we tell the jurors the same thing. So, you know, I leave this to the court's discretion.
All right, thank you. I'm denying the motion for a mistrial. I come down very heavily on the freedom of the press. I'm not about to tell these folks that are here televising portions of this trial what they can and cannot do with that video, nor would I restrict the print media from its coverage to the extent that any witness out there who is hearing these words, do not discontinue watching any media, including the live stream of this trial. And Ms. Paul, I mentioned to you that I'm going to tell the jury that you have instructed your witnesses not to talk about their testimony with any other witness who has not testified yet. So I don't have to keep repeating that. But there is no sequestration order up to this point. We've sort of been following it.
I would ask at this point then we now join Mr. Wall's request that we institute a sequestration order at this point for witnesses.
All right, which means that no witness can be present in this courtroom or watch the live stream of the trial before they testify.
Correct, and as they've been directed as well.
And you can inform your witnesses, both of you, of that order.
Will do. Yes, sir, thank you.
All right. Anything else?
No, thank you, sir.
All right, could we have the jury in, please?
Your Honor, just for the record, we have already stipulated that Lieutenant Benke could be in the courtroom for security purposes. He is a witness in this case.
And you stipulated?
Yes, there were a couple officers, like Officer Hadley testified yesterday as well. Yeah, if you will testify to
All right.
his presence as well.
All right, please be seated. The jury is now with us. Members of the jury, again, I apologize for the minor delay here dealing with one of those legal matters which I feel is our message. We are ready to proceed. And so I don't have to keep telling these people after their testimony. Ms. Powell has agreed that she's informed her witnesses, as will Mr. Shirley, that they are not to discuss the testimony of anyone who has not testified yet, who they know to be witnesses in this case. So I don't have to keep telling these people, but that's the order in place. All right, Ms. Powell.
Thank you, Your Honor. People call Erickson.
Mr. Erickson. Step forward, sir. Stand, raise your right hand, and sworn by the clerk.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Please have a seat here at the witness stand.
Please state your full name and spell your last name.
Eric Erickson, E-R-I-C-K-S-O-N.
And what is your age, Mr. Erickson?
I'm 36.
And your current occupation?
I'm sorry?
What is your current occupation?
I work at Lakeshore Industries here in Iron River. as an inventory specialist.
And how long have you been working there?
About 2 years, 3 months.
And do you recall what month you started?
September 3rd, 2014.
And what did you do prior to working at Oldenburg?
I lived downstate near Ann Arbor, working at Sears and Best Buy.
And do you have any prior military experience?
13 years.
What branch?
Army and U.S. National Guard, Michigan National Guard.
And what was your occupation in the military?
I was a combat engineer and then transferred to a heavy equipment operator.
What are your job duties at Oldenburg in October of 2014?
I was part of military assembly. We work on Navy contracts, building pieces of equipment for them.
Do you still work in that department?
I do not.
And did you know Christopher Regan?
Yes, I did.
How did you know him?
He was my team leader at the time.
You said you no longer work in the military assembly department. What department do you work in now?
It's in Dallas. It's called inventory specialist.
In your experience, what does a team leader do at Oldenburg?
It's kind of a liaison between the workers on the floor and upper management. They're there to help facilitate the needs of their people, as well as train them, teach them things.
How long did you know Christopher Regan?
Only for about a month and a half.
Did you ever have any contact with him outside of work?
I did not.
Do you know Kelly Cochran?
Yes, I do.
How do you know Kelly?
I had met her at Lakeshore Industries when I first started there.
And where did you meet her at?
She used to work in electrical, and then we'd go out for smoke breaks.
Did you meet her right away when you first started, or was it a couple weeks?
We all kind of went out there, but I didn't really get to know anybody until maybe a few weeks after, a couple weeks after.
Did you develop a friendship with Kelly?
I did.
And did you hang out with her at all after work?
I did.
When did you first start hanging out with her? Outside of work?
Outside of work, probably around the end of September, I believe. Early October.
And when you did hang out with her, what time would you guys typically meet up?
It'd be later in the evening after work. Just in the evening, probably 6, 7, 8 o'clock.
Now, at the time that you were, at the time that you knew Kelly Cochran, or you met Kelly Cochran, where were you living at that time?
I was living at my brother's place because I just moved out here in Ann Arbor.
So when you would hang out with Kelly, where would you guys go?
There was a time that we'd hang out when we called the Spot, which is at Wildwood Lake. Also went out to camp one time, and then I did go over to her house before.
Did you go to a tree plantation as well with her?
Yes, I did.
Okay, where's that located?
I don't know the road specifically. It ends up, I think, becoming Coffnell Road, I believe. But the turn-in is probably the school there.
So if you were going to go to that tree plantation, you turn left by the Bay School or turn south by the Bay School?
Well, if I'm going up US 2 and I have high school on my right-hand side, I would take a right and go down that road for a couple miles.
That would be south.
I believe so.
When you went to the spot at Wildwood Lake, where is the spot located at Wildwood Lake?
There is sort of a dead-end drive that ends up down into kind of just a parking space, a gravel space at the end of the river, or lake.
Where is that dead-end drive located, if anywhere, with respect to US 2?
Right across from the Bates Township Hall. right next to the park and ride or carpool lot.
When you and Kelly hung out outside work, approximately how many times do you think you guys hung out together?
I believe it was about 5 or 6 that I can.
Would you guys go to the location together, or would you guys drive separately to a location if you were going to hang out?
I think we went there like separately before. We had met up there before, or we had met at other places and then drove out there.
So sometimes you go separately, sometimes you guys go right together?
Yeah, the first time I believe that we had met up, and then I showed her where the spot was. So the first time we met up at like Iron River Armory, and then we had traveled there in separate vehicles. She had called me out there. And then again, we had met there, but it was already at this spot. She had been there before I had left.
Did she ever go to your house where your brother and fiance were?
She did not.
And you said that you went to her house. How many times did you go to her house?
Just once.
Would you guys hang out in the evenings after work or on weekends or both?
It would be during the evenings, but I can't remember the specific day, whether or not it was a weekday. I know that we had done weekday nights, but I don't remember if it was weekends in particular.
When you guys did hang out together, how long would you spend together? How much time?
A few hours, maybe 3 to 4 hours.
And what types of things would you do during that time frame?
Sometimes, well, if we were hanging out outside of work, we would just sometimes grab a couple of beers, and then if we were down at the spot and drink. We went to her house, she had made dinner.
Do you remember what she made for you?
Spaghetti.
Was your relationship with Kelly Cochran sort of a friends with benefits type relationship?
Yes, it had turned into that on a couple of occasions.
And I call it relationship, but do you consider it a relationship?
I don't feel like I was emotionally connected, that I was forming a relationship. It was more or less meeting somebody new that got out of the house, friends, and so that's what it was for me.
How long had you been out of the area?
I had grown up here, and then I had moved away for about 18 years for my service and then downstate working.
All right, and when did you move back to the area?
Early August of 2014.
What, if anything, did you know about Kelly's marital status?
It was described to me as pretty shaky. Described as being separated or in the process of a divorce.
What was your understanding of where her husband was while you were hanging out with her?
The times that we did hang out, I was under the impression that he was not in the area, but he was going to a mental health facility in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. Or had been staying at a friend's house later on.
Later on in your friendship, she indicated to you he was staying at a friend's house?
Right, because we had talked about it and we discussed why he would still be around if she was not happy with him being there when he was there. And they had discussed about him staying with a friend in the area.
How did you feel about her responses to where he was located?
They seemed kind of dodgy, I guess, like it wasn't really set in stone. It was just sort of like he was over here and then he was over here, and so.
When was the first time, or excuse me, the only time that you went to her house?
I'm sorry?
When was the time that you went to her house, and what month, or do you recall a day?
I don't remember the specific day, but it would have been after a couple times of us meeting. So maybe early to mid-October, I believe, and it was during the evening. I remember it being dark when I got there.
And do you know if this was before or after her husband got out of the mental hospital?
It was under my understanding that he was there on a few occasions. So
And who led you to believe that?
Kelly.
So you believed that he was at the mental hospital at the time you went to her house?
I believe that he wasn't at the house, but I would never really get a straight answer whether or not he was back at the mental hospital or somewhere else. But to me, I felt like he was out of town and he was not there.
Were you aware if she was seeing anyone else during the time she was seeing you?
I was not aware of that.
Did you ever ask her if she was seeing anyone else?
The only thing that I had knowledge of is just her past experience with Chris Regan prior to me getting to know her.
Okay, when you say past history with Chris Regan, what are you referring to?
Prior to me being employed under Lakeshore, it was to my understanding, according to Kelly, that they had formed they were having a relationship or something was happening with them prior, and then by the time that I had shown up, that this had ended.
But did you ever have any discussions with Chris regarding Kelly?
I never did.
Did she say anything about Chris to you other than their relationship had ended?
Well, it seemed like at one time we were hanging out down at the police spot, and she was getting multiple, she had complained about getting multiple messages from Chris Regan. Nothing in particular except that I felt like, he was still interested in pursuing something with her. But she felt like annoyed by it because they had supposedly they had ended whatever it was between them.
Had you ever met up with Kelly at the park and ride that was just across the street from the spot?
Just, yes, I have met her there.
When did that occur, if you recall?
I can't remember the specific date, but she had already left Lakeshore. I don't know if she was terminated or not, but she inquired about me grabbing a bag of tools that she wanted to bring over to her. I had grabbed them and I held on to them for a couple days until she finally had made the time to meet me up, or meet with me at the park and ride, where I gave her the tools.
Had you guys met there more than one time?
Yes.
And you talked about the tools. Was that the first time you met there, or was that the second time?
It would have been probably the second time or a later time.
When you communicated with the defendant, how did you communicate with her?
Besides initially when she was still working there, we would talk at work, then we exchanged numbers. It was text messages and then sometimes phone calls.
And how often would you say that you would text her during the week?
It would seem like we would exchange messages pretty much daily.
Were there times when you couldn't reach her?
Yes. At first, it was like, I would hear from her more often, and we would communicate. And then as time went on, I think maybe I would initiate a conversation or try to initiate, or we would be in the mid-conversation and then it would stop. So
How did you feel about that?
it's kind of a pet peeve of mine when I'm having a conversation with somebody and then it kind of ends abruptly, So.
Was there a time in late October of 2014 when you couldn't reach the defendant?
Later in 2014, October?
Yes.
I think it happened a couple times where I sent out a message, I didn't get anything, or I got something much later on, kind of out of the blue. So.
Did you complain to her via text about this habit of walking away from the conversation?
Yeah, eventually I had started to, bring that up. Just saying, hey, if we're being friends, why are you doing this? And I said, 1 minute we're talking, and all of a sudden you disappear. So.
In late October 2014, was there a time when she disappeared from your conversation for more than a day?
Trying to recall the text message, but I remember like one particular later on in October that I had said where, I had mentioned that you're going to just go up and disappear again for another 3 days. So.
And what was her response to that?
Well, I had told her that because I was getting upset at the time that maybe she should move back to Indiana, and later on she had responded much later that she wasn't going to move away until after this, or go back down to Indiana until after the snow has flown and melted.
Was there a text in late October 2014, if you recall, regarding helping a friend?
Yes. To me that seemed kind of odd that she had disappeared. When I finally made contact with her again, I asked her where she was. And she told me that she had to help a friend with a very big problem.
Did you ever have any further discussion with the defendant regarding what that problem was?
There was not. I mean, it was pretty low key. She pretty much shut that down, saying it was, she described this friend as being a gay friend, and that it was personal between them.
Had you ever heard her mention any friend like that before?
Not that I recall.
You've been interviewed by the police in this matter, correct?
Multiple times.
Yes. Okay. Had you given the police something from your phone in this matter?
I was first met by Detective Chris Brackett with another team of detectives that visited me. I had handed them over my phone and all the saved text messages that I had exchanged.
Do you know the time period that those text messages covered that you gave to police?
The text messages that I gave started at October 5th, 2014, and I believe my last one would have been around the 25th of October.
And did you save messages from prior to October 2014?
With other people?
No, with the defendant.
I haven't. I did not.
Your Honor, we have marked as joint exhibit number 6 a disc containing the text messages, and I also have marked paper copies as joint exhibit number 6.
Received.
Mr. Erickson, I hand you the joint exhibit number 6, which are the text messages between you and Ms. Cochran. Your Honor, Mr. Schulke is aware of these, I believe, and is it okay if I publish this to jury?
Do you have a copy of them?
Yep.
The attorneys want to come to it. No problem, Ron.
Thank you.
Could you tell us, I see the text message on this first one, which is page 1 of exhibit number 6. Could you tell us the date on those text messages?
The date on the first text message is October 5th, 2014, Sunday.
And what were you and the defendant discussing at this time?
Talking about getting out, going down the house.
And were you intending to meet up on that date?
Okay, so we're going to go meet up at the spot. So this would have been the second time that we had been contacted.
So you're referring to going to the spot on October 5th, 2014?
Correct.
And did you actually meet at the spot on that day?
Yes, we did.
I want to refer you now to page 3, October 6, 2014. What are you guys talking about in these text messages?
Well, she starts off by saying that it seemed like she was showing interest in trying to form a relationship with me, or at least getting to know me better. And then, but that was actually that night. It transferred over from Sunday, because we stayed out past 11, past midnight, and this is what she had sent me, and then I woke up and sent the response back.
So those messages where you think she is showing some interest came like 12:18 and 12:21 a.m.? Is that correct?
That is correct.
What time do you typically have to get up for work?
I have my alarm set for 4 a.m.
And you also work the day shift at Overburg?
I do.
Do you guys continue to text throughout the day on the 6th?
I do not.
On page 4, on the 7th, and page 5, what is your discussion at that time?
We're talking about her shoulder. She had been complaining about a hurt shoulder for some time, and she had made mention it to me, so I was checking out to see how she was feeling.
In October 4th and October 5th, was she at work on those dates, do you recall?
I don't think so. I think that she was there anymore.
But what did she say to you about her shoulder and how she hurt it?
She talked about that she had taken a trip down to Green Bay, and on her way back, she had gotten into a car accident that had injured her shoulder.
You're directing to page 7 of exhibit number 6. Is this still October 7th where you're texting at that point in time on page 7?
Yes. Yes.
And what are you talking about at that point in time?
She had asked if I had plans. Nothing that I knew of at that time, so.
Page 8.
Basically, it looks like I wanted to stay in that night. Pretty tired from the night before.
And that goes on into page 9, is that correct?
That is correct.
On page 10, do you talk to her at that point in time about maybe you do want to go out?
I talked about maybe planning something to try to go somewhere. Out of town, spend the night somewhere or something. And then I didn't hear anything back, so.
So you text her at like 6:21 p.m. and you don't hear back from her until what time?
Well, I sent her a message at like 5:30. I didn't hear anything. Then after about half an hour after not getting a response, I was kind of like, okay, well, I guess you don't like that idea. And then a little bit later, she responds, I do. And then I tried to talk to her again, and I think there was a phone call in between there.
So October 8th, which is page 11 of exhibit number 6, what happened that morning?
I woke up late, so we ended up hanging out again.
On October 7th?
That is correct.
So you woke up late. Did you guys continue to text during that day, October 8th?
I had sent a message saying that it wasn't any, probably going to get in trouble for waking up late. And I hadn't talked to her until later on, towards around my lunch break.
Something else happened to you on your way to work that day besides being late?
I had a beer. It was a bad day.
I want to refer you now to page 14. This is still on October 8th. Did you guys go out that night?
Page 14?
Of exhibit 6, yes. Do you have page numbers on yours?
I have, yes, I do have page number 14. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're still on October 8th. Did you guys end up going out that night?
I don't think I went on that can do. I don't think we want.
Did you continue to communicate on October 9th?
Yes, we did. She started out with me that hopefully I was having a better day because of the previous day. And I said, okay, I'm doing much better, so.
Did you make any arrangements for October 9th?
I think she was asking me whether or not I had plans, and at this point I wanted to stay in, so.
Is you were late for work? Is that why?
Well, the last couple days, the last couple of times we stayed all late, and it's kind of rough, so.
Still on page 15, October 10th, 2014. What are these communications from?
This is where she asked me if I can grab her tool bag from under her bench at work. And then we said, yeah, I said, yes, I would. And we tried to make arrangements as to when I can meet up with her and bring her back.
And October 10th, was that a Friday?
Yes, it was.
Were you able to get her work tools on Friday?
I was not.
And why is that?
She was not around. She said that she was going to be out of state.
And were there arrangements to get those work tools to her at some point in time?
She had made mention that eventually we would do it on Sunday instead.
And turning to page 18 of Exhibit 6, did you actually meet up with her on Sunday?
I believe I did. It was later on in the afternoon that I got her tools. So
And how come you guys met later in the afternoon on that day?
I think she had gotten back into town at that time. She said, and she'd been down in the island with him.
So you met her, gave her her tools on Sunday, you said it was later in the evening. Did you guys end up hanging out that night? Or was this just an exchange of the tools?
I believe it was just an exchange of tools. We didn't plan anything or didn't do anything. Met up at the parking lot again with her, by the base on her base, Township Hall. I gave her her tools, and I think we just talked for a few minutes and went our separate ways.
On page 22 of your text messages, Exhibit 6, did you guys talk about where you're going to meet?
We're going to go meet up at the carpool lot again.
And what was her response when you said we're going to meet in the parking lot?
She said that it was typical. So
No.
it was common for us that would be the place that we both knew we'd go.
And you're referring to the carpool lot to the parking right in Base Township?
That is correct.
And that was on October 12th.
Yes.
October 13th, did you guys talk at all?
Just briefly.
Did you talk to her at all on October 14th, 2014?
I did not. And I didn't hear anything from her either. So.
And October 15th, 2014?
I had sent her a message that I said that I hope you're doing well, because this was another time where it seemed like she was not communicating again. And I didn't hear that.
Okay, that's on page 25 of the exhibit. Did you try and make contact with her on October 16th?
On the 16th, I did, on my first break at work. I asked her if she'd pull it off on that again, when she was not communicating again.
Did she respond to you on October 16th?
Later on in the afternoon. And she talked about that her phone wasn't working at the time. Just said that she wasn't ignoring me and that she was having issues with it, not being able to see the screen or whatever.
So she said on October 16th that she was having issues with her phone.
That's correct.
October 17th, did you guys talk on that day? That's page 26.
Yes, she initiated a conversation around lunchtime, and I responded back a little bit later.
Were you upset with her on that day?
Yeah, I was just, at this point, I'm just pretty peeved that, made attempts to try to talk, and then it was starting this routine of not following through on conversations, so I was pretty much annoyed with that, I guess.
So, did you guys hang out again after the last time you saw her was October 12th? Did you hang out again with her at all?
I don't remember specific dates.
Okay. Looking at October 18th, do you guys make plans setting up? That was a Saturday?
I think I had tried to talk to her because I finally got an opportunity. We've been working a lot of overtime that year around that time frame, and so I was looking at trying to get out or go on.
What was her response?
She talked about that she wasn't feeling very well. She took some leave-in pain medicine, and then she was hoping that kind of kicked in, and that she just got maybe the next day to try to do something.
Which would be October 19th, a Sunday?
Yes,
Did you text her on Sunday?
I did.
What response, if any, did you receive? Page 29.
I didn't hear anything. So I sent a few messages throughout the day, and didn't get anything back.
Is this when you told her it was time for her to go back to Indiana?
Yes.
So October 20th, did she text first or did you text first on that day?
She finally responded back to me regarding the comment about maybe it's time that she should move back to Indiana. And
What was her response?
this is the part where she talked about where this is her hometown now, and that she wasn't going anywhere. She wasn't planning on going back to Indiana until well after winter. So.
What exactly, could you just read that one from the first one that she sent you from October 20th?
Yep, she says, you're a dork. This is my home now. I'm not going down to Indiana until the snow has fallen and melted.
What did you think when she responded that way?
Didn't really know what to think. I just thought it was kind of like, okay, it was odd.
Did you guys continue to text on that day?
I didn't respond back to her at that point, and she tried again later on in the afternoon after I got done with work, and then I finally responded.
Were you still annoyed at this point in time?
Yes.
Did you guys end up hanging out on that?
On that day?
Right. Now looking at page 33 of Exhibit 6, that would still be the 20th.
No, I didn't hang out with her then. She'd tried to get me to talk, and then I think she was trying to plan something because we're getting close to like Halloween, and we had carved pumpkins. Well, my brother and his girlfriend at the time and I had done that, and then it sounded to me like she wanted to do that with me as well, but I didn't want to, so.
When was the next time we heard from her? Start to page 34 of Exhibit 6.
Would be on the 23rd.
And what were you guys discussing on the 23rd?
Still, she had some things left at work, which was her radio and a couple CD cases.
And did you meet up with her or first of all, did you agree to get those items for her?
At first I did. I'd been working out of town, so I was going to grab it and then, like I did with the tool bag, meet up with her, give it to her.
And did you make arrangements to meet up on the 23rd? Sorry, on page 36.
36. I don't think we met ever again after that, because I don't remember giving her CDs or radio.
Okay. What did you do with those items?
I don't think I ever took them.
Well, there was something, business?
I don't remember giving her radio or CDs. but I don't remember actually grabbing them, so.
Did you get upset with her again on the 23rd?
Yeah, because she had talked about wanting to hang out, and she talked about the weather. She said it was good sex weather, and I wasn't sure whether or not she was, if that was an invitation or not. And then I didn't hear anything for pretty much the rest of the day. And at this point, I had been fed up with the lack of correspondence or communication. And that's when I told her, well, you know, you can get yours.
At some point in time, did she tell you that she had to help a friend?
That she had to help a friend?
Right, we were having that discussion about whether she had to help a friend. Do you recall when that was?
Yeah, so after I told her my...
Page 38, Exhibit 6.
After I was frustrated with it and I told her that she could get her own stuff, she had finally responded back to me later on in the evening, or in the afternoon on the 24th. And this is where she had told me that, she said, just so you know, I had to help a friend with a huge problem. If you don't want to talk to me, that's cool, but you didn't have to be mean about it. And I thought you were my friend. And then that's where I had talked to her that I said, well, as a friend, it aggravates me that, you know, we're trying to communicate and, you know, that, you know, we're talking for a little bit and then mid-conversation disappear for a number of days.
After October 25th, did you speak with her via text message or any other mode of communication?
At that point, that's where I feel like I think she had kind of fallen off, like she never talked to me again after that.
And did you receive any further communication from her?
Quite some time afterwards, shortly after these text messages is when I was approached by the state police that had questions for me. So I never contacted her again after that. Later on in February of 2015, she had messaged me a small message on Facebook asking me how I've been.
And what was your response?
I responded back, I was like, where have you been? And then I said that, at that point I was like, I don't want to talk anymore. Anything you tell me, I'll go right to the state police. So,
When did you hear about, when, if ever, did you hear about Chris Regan disappearing?
well, I wasn't too sure what was going on. I know that somebody had said that he had put his 2 weeks notice in at work around beginning or mid of October, and that he was going to go over to North Carolina. So it was, I want to say mid or later October that I had finally talked to the police about, where they started questioning different people. And my human resources officer notified me that they were going to be in contact with me.
In your experience working for Chris Regan, was it unusual for him not to be at work?
Yeah, he was very punctual in terms of being there. So, and it wouldn't have seemed like him because I felt like I kind of made a connection with him because he was also prior military, and it didn't seem like the type of thing that he would do to miss work or to quit, even though he may have quit his notice. And I feel like he would have followed through on that.
With respect to your friendship with Kelly Cochran, the defendant, when you were engaging in amorous activities, did her children seem to be bothering her at that time?
No.
You not seeing issues with it?
When we had met up, like she had described it being sore or whatever, but nothing that seemed like it was debilitating, that she couldn't, that she lacked any type of movement. So.
And you said that you and Chris had formed or felt like there was a connection because of your past military experience or your shared military experience. How would you describe him as a supervisor, as a boss?
To me, for me, I felt like he was one of the ones that I liked the most there because he was, they don't have a very extensive or good training program at Lakeshore, and he was one of the, especially being my team leader, he kind of stepped in and helped me out and showed me how to do different things, so, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Morning, sir. How are you doing today?
Good, sir.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Now, you indicated that you liked Chris Regan and you worked together, correct?
That is right.
And you felt a connection with him? Testify today?
Yes, sir.
Did y'all ever talk about personal things together?
We did not. It was a professional basis with Chris Regan.
Okay, so you didn't want to mention that he had a girlfriend or anything like that and talked to each other?
The only time that he had made mention anything that was going on with his life was that he had mentioned that his knee was hurting him and he was preparing to go to do knee surgery. And I think that was the only time that we had really started to talk about things other than work.
Okay. But these discussions about work and talk, never talk about having romantic relationships.
No, sir.
Thank you. Now, you indicated that you started this relationship with Ms. Cochran and started hanging out at smoke breaks and developed into a friends with benefits type relationship.
That is correct.
And just so we're clear, let's put it out there, friends with benefits means that
Means that we did have sex on a few occasions.
okay, but you weren't in a committed relationship.
No, sir.
Okay. And these times that you're all having sex, would you be drinking as well?
On a couple of occasions, yes.
And were you drinking a lot, a little?
I would say about a 12-pack. Nothing, no, it was always just a few beers.
12-pack between the both of you, 12-pack yourself, at the friendship?
12-pack myself.
Okay, would you finish 12-pack these times, or?
It would not be uncommon for me to do so, yes.
Okay. And that's a 12-pack in how long a period of time, 3 or 4 hours, are you testifying to?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now, you've gone through these texts, you've had an opportunity to look at them, thumb through them. I don't know if you had a prior opportunity to go through them. Do you believe that the collection of texts that you have, I think still have that up there, do you?
Yes, I do have it.
Thank you. Do you believe that is the entire text library between you and Ms. Cochran?
I believe that that's the entire text library that I have up to that point. I hadn't started saving messages until around that time frame.
Okay, so. And in that, I'm going to ask a question I missed here. Let me go back a little bit. Again, I think you were here yesterday afternoon. You prepared to testify.
Yes, sir.
And I think you might see on the lobby.
Yes, sir.
Prior to coming here, did you view the live stream of this thing at all?
I did not, sir.
Okay, did you talk to him in the lobby about your testimony here today?
I did not, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that, sir. Again, going back to these texts. Now, when you refer to the spot, I think there's several times that the words, let's go to the spot, or spot is referenced to. The spot means the place down by Wildwood Lake, kind of a parking lot, place to turn around. Is that fair to say?
When I said that, when I talked about the spot would be down at the end of the drive and Wildwood Lake.
So, when the word, let's go to the spot is used, that's what you mean there?
Yes.
In these texts. All right, thank you. Now, I think throughout this testimony today, you've interchanged the words park and ride, carpool a lot, back and forth, correct?
Right. Some people call it park and ride. We describe it as carpool ride.
Okay. And in fact, looking at your text, I think there's several pages. I'll refer to them again. I was a minor number, so I was numbering as I was going along. It looks like on pages 19 and 20,
Okay.
for those pages.
Okay.
I believe you used the term carpool a lot. Is that correct there, sir?
I did not, she did.
She did, okay. When I say you, it was used, the word carpool a lot was used, not park and ride is the point of it.
Correct.
And you also refer to pages 22 and 23, sir.
And I refer to it as the carpool.
Let me ask you this, have you ever heard the words park and ride come out of Ms. Cochran's mouth during recollection?
I cannot recall whether or not, even during phone calls or specific timeframes, that she would have referred to it as a park and ride.
Or it's typical to call it the carpool line, is that correct?
Yes, I believe that's the term that we use.
Thank you, sir. Now, you said that, as you sit here today, this is the way I interpret that, perhaps I'm wrong, to clarify this a little bit, that you didn't feel that this was going to develop into a relationship. Is that what you testified to today?
That I felt like it wouldn't between her and I?
Yes, sir.
That is correct.
And again, is that your opinion as you sit here today, after reflecting some almost 2 years later, or over 2 years later?
Well, at the time, our relationship was pretty, it started out as just co-workers. She described some interest in wanting to maybe go fishing. She was an outdoorsy type person. It got my interest because I didn't know anybody here in town. And she had engaged me as a friend. She had, as she talked about her troubles with her marriage at the time, whatever it may be, I don't feel like there was a place for me to try to pursue anything long-term until, if things were to, between her and my husband at the time, to end.
No.
Plus, it was, I've been divorced myself, so, and it has been some time, and so it was nice to have met somebody.
So let's put it out there, the relationship you have with Ms. Cochran was someone to hang around with and have a little fun with. Would that be fair to say?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. Now, nonetheless, it would be fair to say that you guys talked about what was going on in your respective lives and your relationships. Is that a fair thing to say as well?
I would say so, yes.
Let's talk about her relationship, what you knew about her relationship with her husband.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever meet Jason Cochran?
I did not.
Or speak with him on the phone?
I did not.
Text or anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay, no contact whatsoever.
Zero contact.
And you were told that the relationship or the marriage between Kelly and Jason was shaky, I think is the word that you used. Is that correct?
Yes. On the way out.
On the way.
It's being done.
Done.
Yes.
Did she tell you about his hospitalization? I believe that you said something about him being in Rhinelander. I couldn't hear exactly what you said. I think someone coughed, but you knew he was in Rhinelander, correct?
Yes.
Do you know, did Kelly convey to you the circumstances behind his hospitalization in Rhinelander?
That he was, it was to my understanding that because of this divorce that they were going through or the struggles that they were doing, that this was causing some mental issues or illness with him that he was seeking treatment for.
Did Kelly ever talk to you about how those mental issues manifest themselves? Did she ever talk about how Jason perhaps acted out?
It was to my knowledge that she had described to me at one time that she was fearful of living with Jason Cochran in the same house because he would become violent and enraged and would be physical with her. And I had thought it odd that if you were having a possible divorce of a relationship, why you would still allow him to come back into the household even though he's being threatened. So that was an oddity.
Yeah, but nonetheless, she had made comments to you that she was being threatened and
Correct.
perhaps subject to some kind of physical abuse.
That is correct.
Now I'm going to ask you about back on, I think October 8th was the day that you had much trouble getting to work. You were late and a deer.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go back to the night prior to that? Do you remember what was going on October 7th?
On October 7th?
Yes, sir.
We would have met up, I believe that we would have met up at, if you don't mind me looking.
No, please, I'll try to remember. Go ahead, sir. I know it's a while back.
I don't remember the 7th. If we had met up at the spot again, that probably would have been around our second time frame. And we had sat there, and most of the time we'd sit on the tailgate of a truck, or at least that night, facing the lake and just kind of talking about things, talking about work. And then after having a few drinks, it did become physical.
Let's talk about the time you went to Kelly's house. I believe she said she cooked you dinner, and to your recollection, if you can recall, approximately when was that event?
I don't remember the specific day.
Ballpark, if you can.
It would have been after our second time at this spot. There was a time that we had gone out to a family-owned camp of ours, and there was another time that she had invited me over so that she could make dinner. So it would have been after the 7th or 8th.
Okay. So you were, again, that's the time you went over, had dinner, she cooked you spaghetti, and yelled at where else you did over there.
That is correct.
Okay. And that's the time that you were inside her house, is that correct?
Yes.
To your recollection, was there a time that you were ever perhaps on her street or in her yard or anything like that?
That I was in there?
Yeah, over in that general neighborhood with Kelly.
I can't remember specifics.
Is it possible time that you were over in that neighborhood with Kelly, be in front of her house or in her yard? You just can't remember at this time.
There might have been one time that I had gone by.
Okay.
I'm not sure why, whether or not it was to make arrangements to drop something off or whatever, but not that I would drive down that area specifically for any reason.
You know, go this way. Was there ever a time that you wanted to, after listening to Kelly talk about Mr. Cochran and what he had allegedly done to her, is there ever a time that you wanted to confront him, perhaps, or talk to him about, you know, what he was allegedly treating her?
No, I think I shared my concerns with her because, with Kelly, that I thought that it was just odd that she would allow herself to still be in that household, either removing her from the situation or getting him removed. She told me, it's to my understanding, that they were dealing with it between themselves. And I didn't feel like I had any need to go over there and confront anybody about anything, so.
Fair enough. At some point, presumably, you found out that Kelly was still seeing Mr. Regan while she was seeing you. Is that fair to say as well? You found that fact out perhaps after the course of this investigation?
It seemed like that they had started to, I believe, see each other again, or they never did stop communicating. I didn't know to what interest Kelly had with Chris, though, because it was to my understanding that she was not interested.
When did you find out that the relationship had not ceased or was started up again? When did you find that out, if you recall? Any ballpark for me on any exact date?
Probably around the early 3rd of October, the early parts of October. I started to guess that probably because our conversations were becoming shorter or less frequent, or that she wouldn't engage me first, such as like, hey, what are you doing? Would you like to go out? There was less of that and more of like, we would see Chris Regan go out during break times and be on the phone for a number of minutes, and we had all assumed that after she had left work, or no longer working there, that he was back in communication with her.
Sounds like she was starting to blow you off a little bit. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Pretty much. Maybe the first.
You and me both, brother. You said it's a pet peeve when people don't respond to texts. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And I'm angry with her, perhaps, that she was blowing you off, or maybe seeing someone else. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Just frustrated, I think. But I think I shared that with her just through text. So.
Just give me a moment here, so I'm go through my notes. One more thing I want to talk to you about here. It's, I believe, on page 30, if I read my scribbles here. It's a comment where Kelly we mentioned that she was going to go back to Indiana. The snow was gone and melted. I think I'm paraphrasing that a little bit. And you said that was an odd statement. You took it as an odd statement.
Yes.
Okay. Did you take that to mean that she had some intentions to, at some point, go back down to Indiana?
Well, she had described that she liked it up here. She liked the area. I guess her family had lived down in Indiana. She said that she had left a really good job down there, like somewhat of a family business. I believe that she was helping her brother with become successful, and came up here for whatever purpose it might be.
It sounds like she told you she still has some ties down there.
Yes, she has some ties, yes.
Okay, I think that will cover everything today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, read that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Erickson, I just want to clarify Chris Regan's knee surgery. When you talked to him about his knee surgery, did he indicate that he had to go for a second knee surgery, or were you talking about his first knee surgery?
It was to understand that he already had a surgery and that it was not necessarily successful. At least that's the way I remember, that he already had something done with his knee and he was going back to do another surgery or to do a follow-up with it because it was bothering him for a while.
So working with Chris Regan, or with him being your supervisor, did you have an opportunity to observe him at work and how he was able to move around?
For the most part, he was doing quite well, like moving around. He hadn't complained to me before until later on, once I got to know him a little bit better, that we had started talking about, and he told me that his knee was bad. So.
Did he wear his knee brace at work, or did he have any brace, do you know?
If he did, he would be under his pants. I didn't see him with a knee brace.
And when was this conversation where he indicated to you his knee was bothering him?
I don't remember specifically.
Would it have been in September or October?
It would have been later in September. I believe later September or in October.
Mr. Schulke was asking you about whether or not there were other communications or text messages between you and Kelly, and you indicated that you hadn't saved those. Would you have communicated with her via text message or phone in September?
If we did, it might have been towards the end. I believe that we had exchanged numbers at work, and we had met up. We had met up one time at the spot, Wildwood Lake, Okay, so we would have met once before I think these text messages were going out.
So you would have had some text messages regarding meeting up in September with her?
I believe that we would have, yes.
Now, Mr. Schulte also asked you about the term you used to describe the parking lot in Bates Township. What does carpool lot mean to you?
The carpool lot is where people would meet up. For example, I know my brother utilizes it as well. He works for Aspen, so a lot of their crew works out of town. So they would meet up there. They would all drop off their vehicles, and they would take one person's vehicle that was a ride-share car. So they would carpool to places of work together.
And if I asked you what a park and ride meant to you, what does that mean to you?
Some people, a park and ride to me sometimes also is like a place to park, maybe like a small rest stop. Because a typical rest stop up US 2 is closed on the season. Sometimes they would just park there and then ride with somebody else.
So are those two terms interchangeable in your mind?
I use them interchangeably, so I think if somebody described it as a park and ride to me or a carpool lot, I would,
You would know what they were talking about?
pretty much.
With respect to Jason Cochran, I believe you indicated, Mr. Schulte, that you had zero contact with him.
That is correct.
Was there ever a time when the defendant indicated to you that she had to rush home because her husband was going to be there and she needed to be there for him, or she needed to meet him, she was afraid of him, so she needed to get home?
No, I don't remember that. I don't remember anything like that.
Well, she described these threats to you, and you had opportunity to observe her, right?
Kelly?
Right.
Yes.
You spent 3 or 4 hours of time with her when you did see her, right?
Yes.
Was there ever a time when she appeared to be afraid of her husband, other than her saying, "I've been threatened"?
No, because every time that we had hung out, it was apparent to me that he was not in town or not in the area. So the only time that I felt like we were hanging out was when he was not around.
Were you concerned about going over to her house?
Yes, I was. It's just like, even though like they said that they were separated or whatever, she had told me that he wasn't there, that he was out of town at the time, and that she just wanted to make dinner, and so I said yes.
What fear, if any, did she express about you coming over to her house?
She didn't seem scared to have me over there. There wasn't a set time frame that I was allowed to leave, and we had kind of planned a normal dinner date, such as 5 or 6.
When you went over to her house, first of all, how did you get there? I mean, did you know where she lived? Did you know directions to her house? How did you get there?
She gave me directions for her house down in what I call I think it's Old Caspian, but I'm not familiar with it. So she described how to get there right after the bridge. There's a bridge that, as soon as you go by the Caspian City Hall and you take a left down that area, you go over a bridge by the old pit, by the lake, and then she said it was a road slightly after that.
And when you went to her house, where did you park?
I want to say that it was in the backyard. So I think I had gone up an alley, because I remember coming through her back door.
I'm sorry.
By the basement.
Were any animals present in her house when you were there?
She had a couple dogs, pretty big dogs, locked up in her dining room area.
What reaction, if any, did the animals have to you or any of the house?
They actually, they got along with me. They were interested in seeing who I was. They were barking, of course, but they were like baby gated off. And then typically when it comes to dogs, I just let them, smelling it and it's knowing that they're fine. So they seem fine.
think it was your term, you described the defendant as an outdoorsy person.
Correct.
Did she ever describe herself to you as a farm girl or someone who could take care of herself?
I don't remember any specific conversations where she would have said that, but to me, it was like she was okay being by herself. She described that she would like to just take random walks out of the woods just to get lost, and then challenge herself to find her way home. So I felt like, okay, when we had got out to the plantation one time, you know, it's pretty dark woods in there, or it can be, I mean, you know, and I had mentioned about something about, boy, I wish I had something just in case something come out of the woods at us, and she says, oh, you don't need anything like that, we're fine. She didn't seem concerned being out of the woods, so.
She didn't believe that she needed some sort of self-protection?
Yeah, no protection. So.
Was there ever a discussion about self-protection any other time between you and Kelly?
No.
And I'm not talking about your intimate relationship.
I'm just talking about you.
Like personal protection, like in terms of like handgun weapon.
Right.
No, she did not describe anything like that, of needing anything or using. Except, I think at work we had talked about, because frequently they run a concealed pistol course here in town. And I think that we had talked about that, and I was interested in going, which I went to, and I had told her about it so, as well, if she was interested.
During your time with the defendant, did she express these threats to you? Did you feel that these threats were legitimate?
I felt like maybe they could have been, but they just wasn't adding up to me, because to me it just does not seem feasible why you would stay in a house with somebody that you're getting rid of, or not rid of, but you wanted to end a relationship with, why you would stay there in a physically abusive house. So.
Was there ever a time when she said, I'm having difficulty getting out of the house, Jason won't let me leave?
They only shared, to my knowledge, they only had one vehicle, which was an older pickup truck. So they only had one vehicle. And I think sometimes he would have a vehicle, or, you know, they were sharing it. So she may not have always had access to the vehicle.
You never met Jason Cochran, so these statements are all something she told you, nothing that you verified with Jason Cochran, right?
That is correct.
So-
Yeah, I never talked to him, I only talked to her, so it was only her telling me what she wanted to tell me.
Which might have been what you wanted to hear?
What she wanted me to hear.
Okay, thank you.
Recross.
Very briefly, Your Honor. If I heard you correctly, you indicated just now that, well, Kelly didn't express a particular concern about you coming over to her home. You had some concerns, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Can you specify what your specific concerns were?
Well, my specific concerns is that, okay, she was still married, that, you know, there's the possibility of being walked in on, or, you know, whether or not that you'd be caught or whatever. Or, you know, we were even sitting there having dinner and somebody walked in and there would be an altercation, so, you know, it just makes me nervous.
You want to cut red-handed with another man's wife, that
That's
right?
right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're going to take our morning recess and adjourn. It's 11 o'clock. 15 minutes. Paul, you are ready in the next witness or piece of evidence?
We are ready whenever the court's ready.
All right. Quarter after, we'll stand in recess.
All rise.